I think it's safe to say I'm gonna make some enemies with this one. Hi there, I'm Elliott C. Morgan. Yes, that Elliott C. Morgan. Ooh, wow. This was, as the kids like to say, not worth the bit. Looks like I've developed a nastier habit than this slutty nun I know. Anyway, see, I used to be really into vaping, but then somebody told me that vaping is actually healthier than cigarettes, and I'm like, well, I would like to run as quickly as possible toward the dark abyss at the end of my life, because I think if we're honest with ourselves and we all look around, maybe it's time for us to go. You know what I'm saying? It's been a while, folks. It's good to see you. Elliott asked me to come in and do this video. You know, I used to host a show called The Study over at SourceFed, but then I got bored, so I sold SourceFed to a big digital media company, and then I fired everybody. To this day, they still think that it was the company that did it, but it was me. You should have seen their faces. Holy shit! Anyway, I'm part of a privileged group of people who've never experienced any sort of real emotional persecution. That's right, I'm talking about... What was that, Tyrone? No, I'm not talking about skin color, you racist buffoon. I'm talking about intelligence, or as I like to call it, good brainism. I got a bad case of good brainism. Elliott's got a bad case of good brainism. There are glow-in-the-dark stars on my ceiling. Got a little mark on the wall. There we go. Here again. Of course, I'm talking about my intelligence. I'm talking about my skepticism. I'm talking about the thing that keeps me from believing things right out of the gate. The moment new information comes my way, I say, information according to who? And then a part of my brain is like, is it who or whom? And then I spend like 40 minutes trying to figure out if it's who or whom, while, you know, touching myself and listening to the newest episode of the Headspace podcast. Just because I'm a crazy, maniacal, redundant egomaniac doesn't mean that I don't occasionally like to get centered. Cue all these sexual assault allegations. Now, as a skeptic, I'm somewhat skeptical. Asking me to not be skeptical is like asking me to, I don't know, love. It's just an impossible task. As a skeptic, I hold all of my beliefs very lightly so as not to fall into the trap of groupthink, or mob mentality, or tribalism, or any other thing that could possibly lead me toward actual change rather than sitting around wondering what the difference is between who or whom. Like, I can't have that. I got a lot going on up here. See, the burden of being a rich, white male. Oh, sorry, read that wrong. Let me see here. Fake reading. There it is. The burden of being a skeptic is that sometimes belief is required to create an environment of safety for those who've been wronged. But what about the skeptics, huh? What about me? What about me? Never mind that the problem of sexual assault is embedded into our psyches and institutionalized. Never mind the fact that what we are currently experiencing could actually be seen as an opportunity to step forward as a culture to create a world in which sexual misconduct is so rare that it never happens. Never mind that we as a tribe could create an environment that is safe for all of our citizens. Never mind all of that. This is about me. I apologize. I got a little out of hand there. But I question everything, you know? Like, if you put a gun to my head right now and you said, Elliott C. Morgan, do you believe that the Aryan race is the best race? My first reaction would be like, what do you mean by that? Do you mean like a group of dudes with blonde hair that are all lined up and somebody shoots a pistol and they all start running and I got money on the long shot, whose name is Kyle, and if Kyle wins, the odds are 20-1 and that means that mama gets a new pair of Yeezys? Then yeah, I think the Aryan race is the best race for sure. But that's also because I have a massive gambling problem. Now, if somebody puts a gun to my head and they say, Elliott C. Morgan, do you believe the allegations put forth by somebody you don't know about somebody you don't know? Then of course I'm going to be like, well, I want to believe, because I would hate to think that anybody would ever lie about something like that. And the bravery it would take to come forward after a sexual assault or sexual harassment of any kind is something that I can't possibly wrap my head around because I've never been in that particular situation. And then I start thinking to myself, hold on, did I just say that I want to believe that sexual harassment happened? Don't get me wrong, it would not be the first time that I hoped an evil act happened. In fact, on the way to the tanning salon earlier today, I saw a little three-legged Pomeranian walking across the street, just how they are. And I thought to myself, how funny would it be, if that leg had been cut off by a poacher, in the wild. It was, and they took the little Pomeranian leg and they tried to sell it alongside like elephant tusks. Like, that's an incredibly evil idea, but also adorable. What if I don't want to believe the claims? Wouldn't the alternative belief, the one where they're lying, be a better scenario? Because it would mean the trauma of sexual assault was never experienced. Isn't it interesting how we rush to belief? To a scenario where an evil person perpetrated an evil act, even though the alternative, although it invalidates the person alleging the crime, would in fact be a scenario where that person never underwent that horrific act in the first place. In the end, isn't that what we want? No sexual harassment? At least, that's what my lawyer told me to say. And here we have the dark side of skepticism, where both belief and disbelief offer paradoxic situations. Now, it could be, at the end of the day, that our beliefs really don't matter that much at all. Now, that's an insane thought. In fact, whether you or I believe every word that every person says about every potential allegation has absolutely no bearing on the reality of the claims. Whether the claims are 100% lies, they're 100% truth, or they're somewhere in the middle, what we think about it absolutely doesn't change anything. Except, of course, when it comes to the aftermath. And in order to get to the heart of the matter, speak the victims must, whether publicly or privately. And therefore, my beliefs, although they may be held lightly, must offer them room and grace for them to speak freely. But I never asked to be a juror in the court of public opinion. You wouldn't want me there anyway. I have no moral compass. And I certainly don't trust my own emotionally based conclusions, let alone those of my peers. I've met my peers. They're all idiots. In fact, the only person I've ever met who's smarter than me is Dan Harmon. And no, I'm not talking about the guy who created those television shows. I'm talking about the guy who runs the gift shop in Big Bear, California. He's got these big, burly hands, and he knows the mountainside like the back of those big, burly hands that you could just crawl into and feel so safe, you know? He has like a voice too. It's like for breakfast, he had black coffee and a cup of gravel. Just, oh God, I miss him. So those are my thoughts. As a skeptic, narcissist, rich, privileged asshole, I shall continue to hold my beliefs lightly, giving credence to those who speak out, but always wanting to get to the reality of the situation. And if my skepticism leads people to believe that I'm somehow sexist or contributing to the problem, I will certainly also take that into consideration. But the reality is that I've also been at times accused of being things like, I don't know, left-leaning, so I've been through worse. Until next time, I'm Elliott C. Morgan, and if you ever harm a woman, I'll cut off one of your limbs and sell it on the black market, but it's not gonna be your arms or your legs. It's gonna be your dick. I'm gonna cut your dick off. I'm gonna cut your stupid dick off. You wait. Oh, God, these things are terrible. Anyway, Tyrone, if you go into the freezer, there's a man in there. His name is Juan. There's still a little bit of meat left on him. We're gonna go ahead and just take a little bit off of the left thigh.